the
Doesn't
things,
he have
like the
a
catalyst
brain
of
worm?
Epstein. Yeah, he has a brain worm.
Doesn't he have
Yeah.
eating his brain?
I think they got it,
Like,
but it's
oh, they got it
they
like a
got it.
couple weeks ago, right?
Something
Like this was
happened.
recent.
That in and of itself. And then you've seen him talking
It's kind of
online on
concerning.
socials where he brings in his ravens. He's talking to these ravens, and I'm like,
Like
RFK,
birds?
what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, just
Yeah.
get rid of the
Like
birds.
birds, ravens, or like the
Yes.
NFL
Yeah.
team?
Oh,
Yeah.
the NFL team would be far better. Hanging out with my
Like, all right,
favorite
guys, this is my
NFL team, the
five-step
Ravens.
economic plan.
No,
What do you think?
actual
Marshawn Lynch
Ravens
just
that are like on his like at his window.
Hey man, ravens are pretty smart, or is that crows? Or are ravens crows? I'm not a raven. I'm not smart.
Well,
you know what I mean?
you didn't study. You didn't see the notes I sent for the outline. Study up on ravens. We're gonna get real genus, species, history, and obviously Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. So it's like,
I think the bigger issue with RFK though really is just like the whole running as an independent, a two-party system. You got to come out and you got to win, or it doesn't really mean anything. You know what I mean? Like, what if, you know, he doesn't win the election, but he gets a majority vote and a new party is registered, now has a seat at the table. Now we've got Democrats, Republicans, and brainworms. I don't know what it would be called, but you know
We've
what I
been
mean?
trying
Like,
that forever.
well, that's
We've been
the
trying
issue.
that would be the symbol. How you have the elephant and the donkey, and then you have like a brain worm.
A worm just or a burrow circling them, but like there's just never any lasting impact. Like Ross Perot was what, 90 or late 80s?
He got like 20%.
Yeah.
And people say that he would have won if people believed that he could have won. And that was
it had no lasting, there was no party introduced, there was no new seat at the table. It was just that kind of one-off thing. He didn't win, sorry, go home. And like that's ultimately what RFK will end up being, you know?
Yeah. It's
or he fucking wins and we got a new, I don't know, man. It's a weird year.
Look, we've had the Libertarian Party, we've had the Tea Party, we've had a bunch of other people, you know,
the Communist Party really
listen, you just never know where the future lies.
And that's interesting. Why isn't RFK like running as libertarian versus independent? I feel like a lot of his policies,
I think that kind of encompasses part of the libertarian, because I've seen some reports show that he's actually siphoning off more Trump voters than he is or was off of Biden. And I don't know how that's changed with Kamala now being the head of the ticket. And so it's like that in and of itself is just like, I think when you start to target the center, which is actually the vast majority of all of us, you get that, like, I would even say, because you said it was like maybe 20% of the center. I honestly think it's 60% of the center, 20% on the fringes, right? And it's those 20% who always, that's all we hear from. You know, like that's one of the problems with like social media is it makes it to where like, yes, I think most people would look and say, let's not trans the kids. Like, I think we're good. Just let them turn 18 and do whatever the fuck they want. We're like, all right, we can all agree, except for like 20%. They're like, how fucking dare you?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's the smallest of the smallest of the smallest of percent that scream the loudest, that gets the visible. Their policies, the crazy stuff that goes out there, it's out there. It's because the media sensationalizes that. They don't sensationalize the bulk of, right? I think the bulk of Americans care about our borders, our safety. We care about our kids and our kids' safety. We care about being fiscally responsible. We care about, I mean,
I was
when
just
it comes to
thinking like none of our national policies have reflected that.
No, absolutely. But
I hear you. That's what we want.
I'm going to explain that why.
Yeah.
I'm going to explain that why, right? Because you have the will of the people, and then you have the system that was put there by the people on top. That's let's face it, America is run by the corporations, right? That's not going to change. The corporate people put these politicians in place. We have roughly 350, I'm just using an average, 350 million Americans. You mean out of 350 million people, you can only come up with 2 geriatric 80-year-old fucking guys to run this country out of 350 million people? We have so many scholars, so many political analysts, so many people who've studied and know what's best for this country, but we choose these people, or we don't choose, right? They're selected. So out of 350 million Americans, 20 people are selected, and then from those selections, they're herded into the final two, and then those are the people we get to participate in a little exercise, even though it's already selected for us. That's just it. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is, and that's how I believe it is, and I believe that's how it's always going to be, because you're not going to have the change that you need. Because people are not going to, those politicians, they're not going to set term limits on themselves.
Right.
They're not going to cut their pay. They're not going to get on a performance pay.
They
right?
don't need
If you're
to
in
cut
a
their
state,
pay. They got that whole like stock portfolio. You follow Nancy Pelosi to become a multi-millionaire. And that's the thing that they've done. Like, because I remember when I was a kid, there was all this hubbub about any time Congress voted them to give themselves a pay raise. Well, they've stopped doing that because they're just like, we're just going to do insider trading. Yeah. Everybody cool with that? Oh, it turns out that's way more lucrative.
If you like let's take a person like AOC, right? Prior to her coming to the Senate, she was a bartender, right? And she'll tell you, hey, I made, $10-15 an hour, as a bartender.
I believe she had $100,000 in debt, and I think that's public record. It was just
absolutely. So I guarantee, and something just tells me, I
know her net worth right now.
When she leaves, no, I'm just saying, when she leaves, she's going to be worth millions, and not low millions, but high millions.
Right now,
and she's going to be
she's worth 29 million.
No. Here's the thing, right?
Sorry,
I don't know, right? I don't know, and I don't want to go into the conspiracy theory side of, because I've heard numbers, but we don't know. But I will say this. Like, even Obama,
I know that
when Obama came, right, he's never held a job. He was always a community organizer.
Yeah.
But then when he left office, obviously he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and it didn't come from writing a book. Let's face it, right? But that's just what Netflix, it is. And I'm not harping on him, but it's people prior to him, and presidents prior to him, and politicians prior to him that do the exact same thing. So I'm not going to knock one person for doing it when they all do it. This is a system that was put in place, and it's working the exact way it was intended to work.
Yeah.
Right. You may get a guy that's in there and comes and, I'm going to make changes. But when you get there, you realize this is a system. There's no change here. This is for longevity. This is how you get the Harry Reids and the Nancy Pelosi's, the Mitch McConnells, and all these fucking guys that's been there for 70, 80 years. And they won't relinquish power. They have all the donors in their back pocket, and they get to say what goes, and their job is to protect the status quo. Whereas you and I, as average citizens, we're left to just fight with each other over that couple of percentage of why our side is the best side, and it's all bullshit. And eventually one day, we keep saying, we hope that we wake up and say, you're not the problem, I'm not the problem, these fuckers here are the problem. How are we going to get them out, and how are we going to install a new system, or a system that works for the American people?
We see that same thing on a microcosm within the teachers. Like, I know within education, I've known many people who are like, I'm going to go be a teacher. And they go in and they're going to I'm going to really change people's lives. And after about 5 years, they're like, I can't do anything. Like, it's like everything that you need that would be like, this is the logical course. This is what we need to do.
Yeah.
We can't. Hands are tied. And it's like they just get beat down by bureaucracy. And it's like, and then you end up having, basically you churn out all the people you want, and you're only left with people who are just like, well, I can't do anything else. It's like, all right, I guess I'm here. I'm going to be a politician. There we go.
So this is a fun thought. I always like to think, like, imagine, January 6th works. We do that. We rise up. We get in. And
are you still disappointed?
We got to replace these guys. Well, like, this is like, if the moment ever comes that, we decide to replace these political heads, whether through peaceful or violent revolution, I have no idea. I feel like we'd end up just putting in like fucking NFL coaches as their replacement. Like, I don't think we can really like Mike Ditka's on there. Like, all right, step one of the economic recovery. Like, I don't think
hear you.
We'd make something much better if we got the opportunity. You know what I mean?
That'd be freaking cool. You guys want to talk about it? I think it'd be well, why not just make it pro wrestling? Let's just remove the facade.
Mountain Dew Camacho.
Yeah, and it's like Camacho, but also like we saw Hulk Hogan and the RNC.
Oh my God, we didn't even talk about that.
If John Cena starts showing up, I'm gonna be like, if John Cena shows up in any part of this race for any reason whatsoever, somebody needs to go find Sandra Bullock and rip that fucking typewriter out of her hands, because I swear we're living in one of those fucking movies where this woman writes something and it becomes reality, and it's like, no,
it's
no,
the Simpsons. It's the Simpsons effect. The Simpsons, like they say, they've predicted everything, and we don't know why, but I'll tell you this, guys. It's you know, it's embarrassing. It really is on the grand stage.
Yeah,
it is an embarrassment.
Yeah,
but
UK had Boris Johnson. We're having our little moment.
Well, no. It's not to compare to everyone else. It's to say, listen, as being here in the greatest nation in the world,
amen,
the richest nation in the world.
Woo.
And you know, us having so
the widest
much
nation. Oh, sorry.
No, he said,
hey, not anymore. That's changing. That's changing.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah. So it's that being said, people around the world looking at like, these fucking guys are and I obviously I can't say the R word, but these guys are fucking nuts. But yeah.
Now that is a fun thought.
It's a funny word too. I have a whole bit on, like, I have never in my life thought that I would see that the far left and the far right would unite under the banner of fuck the Jews. And then the same thing with millennials and Gen Alpha under the banner of we like to say the R word.
Yeah, it's 2024, man. It's a crazy day and age. But I will say this, and I do want to ask you guys this question.
Yeah.
Before Rome fell, do you think that we're in that point where it's like we're so rich, we're so carefree for like the necessities, that the stuff that how we should operate, how we should act, and stuff like that, we should be very serious, but clearly we're not serious when you have Hulk Hogan on the world stage, when you have all these other people right there. Just the fact that Trump even has an opportunity to be in a political sphere, given his background and so, and you know, again, he's a TV show guy, right? He's Mr. You're Fired. And now there's talks about, oh, we want The Rock, or we want Oprah, or we want, it's like, guys, like, do you see how unserious we are on something that's so important to the world? Because whether you like it or not, these two people are going to be the leader of the free world, and that's a super important situation. That can be a finger snap away from annihilation if the need rises. I just think we're so serious about shit, and I think the average citizen has tuned out, and we kind of don't care, and that's not a good place to be either, right? So, I mean, what's your thoughts?
I mean, we're definitely in a weird place. It's really, you know, the world economy, definitely, like the inflation, recession, this isn't anything unique to us. COVID really messed things up with the supply chain, but there's definitely parallels to like the fall of Rome, but I think there's also a lot of differences in that, you know, there's definitely the extreme wealth inequality, but I feel like there's more a crisis of faith in a sense. Not in like the religious sense, but like, what does it mean to be American? We just haven't had any huge W's in the last 20 years. Pulling out of Afghanistan was a fucking nightmare. The Trump Biden, that's a clown show. A lot of people under 30 are now poorer than their parents were at 30. Like, that's the first time that's happened.
Can't have, you know,
they're not having kids. They're not having kids.
You know,
and the report showed that they want to have kids, but it's just like you're just
can't afford it
behind the eight
ball. And the tax credit, like things like that are, hey, we want to make corrections to what's happening now, but you know, things.
That's why I'm not surprised